2 days. That's almost how long Lost Ark has been out, and oh my god, what a game this is. A game that I had heard about so long ago but never thought would get a global release, but man am I glad it did. As this game is great. How great? Well, let me tell you my first impressions of this game and why, if you still haven't given this game a go, why you should. So there's a lot to talk about, but let's start with one of the most important things to an MMO, and that is classes. So classes, yep, classes. Having unique classes that feel different from one another and that are well fun. So does Lost Ark deliver on that? Well, let's take a closer look. So we have 5 main classes and each of them have further advanced classes under them. Advanced classes are like specializations or subclasses, ways to further differentiate within the class themselves. So for example, the mage class has 2 advanced classes, the Bard and the Sorceress. The Sorceress is the DPS version of the Mage, whereas the Bard, which is the one I picked, is the support class. So you get to choose these advanced classes right off the bat. There's no specialization quest you have to go through, it's straight up you're into it. And this is really nice as you get a feel for the class before you're really into the game, which means if you don't like it, you can just try it out. It's very easy to stop and create another character. Another cool thing is you get a lot of skills you start off with. So unlike most MMOs where you're using the same old skill for ages until you unlock more, you have quite a few skills you can experiment with right out the start. Now just one thing I want to mention before leaving the class topic is some classes are gender locked, the mage being one, which in the grand scheme of things isn't a big deal but would be nice if they weren't. But now overall the classes are great, they all look and feel different, and I heard we'll be getting much more eventually with the summoner class that was supposed to be released alongside the game but was pushed back due to a few reasons. But now let's talk about the actual gameplay itself. So it feels really satisfying to kill enemies. Each skill has a lot of impact, a lot of oomph to it, which makes it really fun to use. As personally, I'm playing a Bard, which is the support class, which usually supports in most MMOs don't have the most fun skills, not the most flashy, but that is not the case in Lost Ark, as I have skills that will throw enemies in the air, chuck them down. I have a skill that will shoot a beam of light dealing increased damage. I also have a skill that is pretty much a shotgun blast to the face. And I'm a Bard, remember? So all in all, it's really fun, and I can only imagine what some of the more DPS focused classes have. Now the second big gameplay difference is the obvious isometric view. At first many people were wondering what this game really is. Is it another Diablo or Path of Exile? But no, it is in fact an MMO. You will see people around the world in the zones doing the same quests, killing the same monsters and all that good stuff, and when you go into the major towns you will see just a crowd of people on their mounts crafting and doing all MMO stuff, and overall it works just fine. And one thing I'm glad that they maybe took inspiration of is the loot system from Diablo or Path of Exile. If you've ever played these games, you'll know that once you kill a boss, the explosion of loot that comes from it is so satisfying, and Lost Ark has nailed it, especially with the pet system they have, which just picks up all the loot. You don't have to go through the long clicking process that some of these games have. Now in terms of how the leveling process is in this game, it's great. You'll mostly be doing the main quest all the way through, and that should be sufficient, but there's also a lot more to do. There's an abundance of side quests all the way through that offer a good amount of extra XP, and so if you are in the area of some, I would recommend you pick some up, as oftentimes you'll be able to complete these in conjunction with the main quest, and even along the way there's a few more things you can do. There are these dungeons you can do. They can either be completed on normal or hard difficulty, and I would definitely recommend you do it on hard as the loot's a lot better. And if me on my Bard, which is the support class again, can do it, I'm sure other DPS characters can definitely do it much easier. There's also world bosses that randomly spawn, in which you'll need to team up with other players to take them down. They offer a good amount of loot and stuff, but right now they are in hot demand. With pretty much any time they are up, there's always a ton of people switching channels to get the chance to kill them, which usually ends up the channel being full and you're unable to switch. But this should calm down as the game goes on. There's also a lot to do in this game than just what I've mentioned previously. There's professions like mining, gathering, you have a boat which you can sail around the world, there's housing, and of course there's the endgame. Now I feel endgame could be a video in and of itself, so I won't go too in depth as I'm just starting to reach it, but there's a good amount here. There's of course PvP if you're into that, with 1v1, 3v3s, there's also PvE which is more of my thing, and there seems to be a good amount from what I've seen, and of course a lot more. And so, Lost Ark, how is it? First impressions? Well, it's amazing. So far at least, the leveling process is enjoyable with the range of skills you have at your disposal, the range of classes is great, and unless the endgame gets worse or something, I see myself playing this for a while to come. Now, do I recommend you play this? Oh yes. Especially if you haven't already, then definitely give this a go. It is free to play once it gets officially released. There's no monthly subscription, unlike some other MMOs, and so give this a go. But now, if you already have, then let me know how you're finding it down in the comment section below. And as always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.